Hey, my name is Michael. In this video we're going to be making diagnostic study model bases and putting a logo on the top and the bottom. So we have virtual teeth that have been placed over existing tooth preps or teeth, and I've come across this situation a few times, so we need to make these printable and presentable. So we can see that the models are not aligned to the middle of the workspace, and this is important so that when we extrude the study model walls, that they are perpendicular with the occlusal surface. So we're going to be doing this first of all, and most of our work we do this first and foremost. So we're going to be changing the name of the top model, and we're going to click on enter target, so you can see that appear in the block over here, and on the left top corner you can see target. So the name has changed. Left click on the lower to select it and click name opposing, and the name has changed. So always make sure that the correct one has been named. Then we're going to link and flip it, which means that the lower model has disappeared so that we can place our points. The lower will naturally follow the top one even though it's hidden away. So shift right click to place the cursor on the surface and click on P, that's a shortcut. Shift right click, place your cursor, or you can click on 4 points. We need 4 points. The other way of doing that, which is the easiest and quickest way, is to use the shortcut Shift D and then drag your mouse and left click. For the purpose of the video, I will just invoke another add-on. Now you can see what I'm doing on the left hand corner. So Shift D and then grab the mouse and left click, place the sphere down. Only 4 spheres are needed, not 5 or anything else. So then we're going to click on align, but before we click on that, make sure you've got a rectangular shape and more or less symmetrical, because we want the calculations to be performed so that the midline can be calculated. The spheres are positioned on the cusp tips, so almost like this model would be resting on a flat surface. Click on align. Now you'll notice it's upside down, and that depends on the algorithm. Some computers are different, and I've scratched my head about this, but for now we can just click on the Y. Once you know which axis you are working with, it becomes easier. You can see on the top widget the middle one is Y. So think of I, it's moving towards your eyes, you're seeing it in the front perspective, so Y, I. So we're going to click on it twice to rotate it twice at 90 degrees. Following this, you may lock the models, or you can just leave them as they are, as long as you don't move them around. Next, we're going to separate these teeth from the model. We cannot cut these models and make them into study models, because we need to hide these first. So the easiest way to do that is then click on separate objects, and we're going to then click on the lower one and click separate objects. Then what we're going to do is we're going to left click on the one object and left click on the other and hide them so that it exposes the teeth. A to select all of them, and then M, we're going to move them into a new collection. Name it, name the collection, press OK. Now to hide this collection, we're just going to go to the view, and in the collections tab click on the eye, and that's hidden. Now in the model designer, shortcut is Alt H to unhide, or just click unhide. This is what the teeth look beforehand. They're semi-prepped, I think, or I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it looks like preps. Next thing what we're going to do is now we can work on these models. Now we don't need the floor anymore, so we can hide this if you want to get rid of it. So X, Y, floor and grid hidden away. We're going to arch cut. So left click on the model which you want to start off with, shift right click to place your cursor and click arch cut, and then E left click, and all the way. The top one I'm going to fast forward. With the low one I'm just going to explain what happens. Here we've got a massive void and a hole going through the scan. So we've got two choices, either to avoid it or to fix this up. Now depending on whether you want the sulcus or not, for the purpose of the video we're going to keep that massive defect. And we've got another hole over here. If you do have holes and you're trying to extrude the model into a base, it's not going to work. Over here we've got a choice. We can either G to grab, we can go this way or we can go that way. Always try and avoid any defects. Obviously we're not going to have such holes in a model from a scan, intraoral scan. When you get to the other side, shift left click to select this as well, or you can click on the C key to select it and then F to fuse it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to then click on trim, select a face that you want to keep, the mesh that you want to keep, clean. Now we have to deal with that defect, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to save this. Always save your work. So if hypothetically we extrude this, look what happens. So lower base, it mucks it up. It takes the holes, and on the inside it won't do a good job. If we cross section it and I view it on the inside, it's not a good mesh, and you may have problems printing this. So I'm going to undo it, and with the undo sometimes it depends on the steps used. So in this case it's changed the color, but we're just going to delete that. That's all good. I'm going to tab to edit, and we're going to go into transparent mode. Then I'm going to go and see, and I'm going to highlight this defect. I'm going to highlight this defect, right click, X, delete the vertices. Leaves two massive holes, and on this side I could probably just leave it as it was, it'll fill. Tab to exit, and the transparent toggle switch. So we've got 3 holes. Click on fill holes. Now your holes have been filled. If I extrude this now, lower base, we should get a nice lower model. Yeah, that's all good. And now I'm going to do this for the top, fast forward, and then continue. Here I've placed the arch line. I've just stopped this to show. E to extrude. If you have these convex areas, always place more vertices. Again, we have a defect. E, I'm going to simply avoid these two, just to cut down a lot of additional time. Good, now it's been cut out and we've got one bubble there which we can fill later if we need to. Left click on it, upper base. We have a nice mesh. Alt H to unhide. Next what we're going to do is we're going to do the study model. So left click on it, name it, name upper, name the lower, import study model. These are two stencils that are imported into the scene. Grab it. You'll notice it's a bit too small, so S to scale it, and then locate it nicely. We're going to exit the X-ray mode and inspect it. So over here you'll notice that it extends into the molar. We can shift that down a little bit, something like that. If you don't want to shift it down, you can edit it, and that's easy done by clicking on edit, left click on one of these verts, G in the mouse wheel. We can change the effect of the movement, and we can then move it down. G, Z, grab in the Z direction. You can highlight the section G, Z and just grab it down. Alternatively, just we've taken it a little bit too low. That should do the trick. Tab to exit. We'll do the same with the top. Inspect it. This time round I'll just move it down a little bit. That should be sufficient. Now we're going to click on upper base, click on lower base. Your study model is completed. With the teeth still hidden away, we're going to now place our logo. So you go to the logo designer, tilde key to view it from the top, shift right click. Make sure you call the model target. Now we're going to be placing the cursor, shift right click in the center of the model, not where your logo starts. It is an object, so we're looking for the center of the object, and we're going to click on import logo and outline. Now this logo is extremely large, and I've noticed this happen in some logos, but I've left it so we can deal with it. S to scale, and then move your mouse towards the center, so that moves it smaller. Left click and do it again, S, and move it to the center. Don't do this because it inverts it around, so move it close and then use the S key, and then place it G where you want it to go, and then you will notice that it says the logo thickness is 1.5 millimeters, which it clearly isn't. This is because we've scaled the logo. Now in the future update I will have a button there that will fix this automatically. For now, click on Object, Apply, Scale. This fixes the scale, and it will be now 1.5 millimeters. So it's the overall thickness including the inside inset is 1.5 millimeters. Then click on Approve. Following that, we're going to create the inside base, which is the inside of the actual outline. We use this as a cutting tool. So now we've got it standing halfway in and halfway out. We've got a slider here which we can adjust up and down. We're going to be setting this down but slightly above, just a little bit, something like that. And then we can adjust the thickness of this. So if I look at this from the front section and in wireframe mode, just for the purpose of this video, if it extrudes beyond your palette, you want to then change the thickness. So something like this, 5 millimeters should be sufficient. Then click approve. Now we have your logo, we've got the base for the logo, and we've got the cutting tool. Now we can cut into this model, and I'll show you how we're going to do this and how we're going to deal with a honeycomb model. So I'm going to just save this, and then we're going to click on cut model. This will now take the blue structure and it has cut a model on the inside. Now obviously that is the length of the actual the depth of the cutting tool, so we're going to set this, and then from the front view we can then set it flush with the surface of the top of the base, and then we can either emboss or outline. Now I'm going to take this one step back and we're going to make a honeycomb from here. So let's approve that. That's all good. And now we're going to go to the model designer menu, left click on your model that you want to hollow out, make hollow. Then choose between these three, honey solid, honey vented and gyroid. I will click on honey vented. The gyroid takes a little bit longer to calculate because it's an extremely complicated mesh. Then click on this blue arrow and then slide your cutting tool towards an up direction, just so that it's underneath the top surface. Something like this ought to do. And then of course we will then apply that and get rid of this sliding cutting tool. Now we want to inset this logo. At the moment it's standing way too high up. If I don't inset it, then if we don't use this as a cutting tool, then this is going to happen. GZ, you will have the honeycomb overlap the logo, which we don't want to have. So we're going to go back to the logo designer, and we're going to then make sure that you select the model and you call it target, because it's changed its name to model. So always, that's the first rule with the logo designer. You need to name the model that you're working on is the target model. So click on enter target and then cut model, and then this little arrow should appear, and then grab it down. If for some reason you do not see this arrow, which I've seen on a few computers, I don't know why, GZ, grab Z, and then you can inset it, and then tilde key, view from the front, and then inset it to flush with the surface of your model. And then of course we do exactly the same for the lower. To cut this video shorter, I will not do the lower at this stage. Now we want to get these ready for printing, so we're going to go to the view, expose your teeth, and then we're going to export these models. Now we've got quite a few models to select, so we need to join them up. Easiest way is we're going to hide the top and the bottom, and then we're going to then select in transparent mode B, select all of these, and then in the model design you're going to join them up, and then we'll do the same for the bottom. So just select one first, then B, and then join them up. So now we've got this as an object and this as an object. Alt H to unhide. Then it's easy, you just select your row of teeth, shift left click, select that one, shift left click to select your cutting tool and your little logo, and then you just join all the objects together. Now this is create a funky color, you can just delete these colors. So this is one object now, and you can hide this if you want to, and do the same, shift left click, and then left click and then shift left click, and then join objects, and then Alt H. We've got two separate objects now which we can then print. If you don't want to do that, you can just select these components, each object that you want to group together, and just file, export STL file. The STL file will join all of these objects up together for printing anyway, so you don't really necessarily have to do this procedure. If you do want to further improve the model, the way it looks, we had a hole there in the beginning of it. We can shift right click to place the cursor on the inside, patch up tool, S to scale it, G to grab it, and then we can just simply click on fill, and then we can just give it one brush over with the sculpting tool, sculpt, and just neaten it up and make it invisible. And we can proceed that with any other little defects that you may want to hide away, and then exit sculpt. So this concludes my video. If there's any questions or you need help with something, please don't hesitate to contact me via email or Facebook. Thank you. Goodbye for now.